Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to today's edition of the Hour of Politics. Ansony, Sieh, your usual host. Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. The Hour of Politics, especially the one with which you don't see a guess, is the analytical one. It's the one in which I try to dig deeper. It's the one in which I try to use my little limitation to analyze things and break them down for you politically. Welcome. I ask one favor, and one favor only I ask. Share, and share. I want to welcome those of you on Facebook. Welcome. And those of you following us also on YouTube, I want to say welcome. YouTube folks, do the same. Just hit that share, put it in a WhatsApp chat room. Joseph Human Boakai has been wanting to be president of the Republic. He, as a Liberian, got that right to do so. In this business of politics, you can be of help to yourself or you can be of harm to yourself. In other words, you can help to make your dream become a reality or you can hurt that possibility. The bigger question is, has Boakai destroyed his chances of becoming President Boakai? Hey, wait a minute, President Boakai? Oh, yes. Let me give you a little lecture here. Mr. Boakai is qualified when we look at the Constitution. Mr. Boakai is also qualified based on his wealth of experience. And so no question whatsoever. And then more to that, for Boakai to become president of Liberia, since he lost the last election, that possibility of a Boakai presidency was obvious. It was obvious for so many reasons. And let me just give you a few as I go into this topic quickly. Number one, the one Liberians chose to be president over Mr. Boakai has demonstrated ineptitude, insensitivity. He has demonstrated a lack of leadership. He has exhibited the greatest level of distrust, his inability to govern as a leader, to speak to the issues. Corruption has become the order of the day in his government. I'm talking about Mr. Weir. He became president, started building mansion. You all know this story. He betrayed those who trusted him. Today, we have folks called disenchanted citizens. Liberians are hungry. The prices of basic commodities are all in the roof. Life has become so difficult. Liberians trusted Georgia. They had hope in Georgia. They had belief in Georgia. They felt that George was their guy because he was their kind. He was not seen as one of the educated ones. He was seen as somebody who walked in their shoes when he was poor, when he has experienced poverty. And that they had shared one thing in common. That was poverty. And if I may add, they also share this commonality of commonness. Common man from the slum of Gibraltar, born unto poor parents, who struggle, but yet will succeed and make it to stardom, will earn millions. He was that symbol of the life many Liberians live. And so after they have reached a conclusion that the educated class of Liberia, that class has failed them, after they have been given the opportunities for so many years to serve them in their best interest, they needed somebody of their kind. Mr. Weah will be elected over Joseph Yumambwaka, a dedicated, we are told, public servant. We are also told he's an elderly statesman. He exhibited grace, and I'm going to talk about that. Mr. Boakai, the Liberian people said no to him because they felt he was a part and parcel of a government that let them down economically. And so for them, the choice was obvious, especially when the message was on the basis of hope for change. They needed change. They felt they were hopeless. They needed hope. Mr. Boakai was not changed. Mr. Weah was changed. Mr. Boakai was not hope. Mr. Weah was hope. And so they made that decision. Oh, yes, they did. They made that decision that Weah was the guy for them. In no time, mansions were flying in the roof. Mansions for Mr. Weah. Mr. Weah did not get to business to meet their needs. Mr. Weah got to business to meet his needs, to revive and resuscitate himself economically. And all of the blunders he made with his millions, those things he wanted to have acquired that he did not acquire, he started getting them while the Liberian people were yawning for that change they voted for. While they were still hoping for that change they voted for, they immediately realized Mr. Weah was not that change. And so in no time, they have come to realize and started questioning themselves, did we make the right decision? And we are proof to them day after day, in their majority, that they did not make the right decision. And so for Boakai, whose government, despite being inherently corrupt, and the mere fact that when they started comparing the government in which Mr. Boakai served, though corrupt, with Mr. Weah, they saw something. They saw that life was a little okay. They saw that transportation prices were a little okay. I mean, were a little okay, yes. And they also saw that finding daily meals, whether in the morning or the afternoon, and how many times they ate during the Boakai early time and Weah time, they saw something different that was not in their favor. And so, folks, a presidency for Mr. Boakai was imminent. The picture of a Boakai presidency started showing up. So, but then before I can go into the nitty-gritty and give you all the analytical details for you to get the juice of this ascent presentation that I'm bringing your way, let's start from the basis. Why are we here? To discuss how Mr. Boakai destroyed the possibility of a Boakai presidency that became obvious. For the little story that I just told in brief because of time. But we cannot tell you how Mr. Boakai destroyed this possibility of a Boakai presidency without also telling you the good and bad of Joseph Boakai. So let us talk about Joseph Boakai, the man, the good things about Mr. Boakai, and the bad things about Boakai, the bad things that hurt him and not helping him to reach the political promised land called the executive mansion. Somebody prefers the word presidency. So we have no argument because it's the same place. Folks, Mr. Boakai, let's talk about the good of this Liberian. He's a decent family man. Mr. Boakai calling to his handlers that he's humble. And I believe he's humble. I see a level of humility in him. He exemplifies the attribute of humility. Mr. Boakai is also loyal. Mr. Boakai demonstrates loyalty to the highest level, and I will give it to the power. Oh, yes, he's loyal. So let me talk about how a decent family man he is. Mr. Boakai has been married to his sweetheart for, I don't know exactly the number of years, but I will pull it at 40 years. And that is a virtue, and that is a family value, that is a societal value that is not common in these days. People get married today, the next thing you know, they're throwing the thing at each other, boom. Hey, I shouldn't get myself into trouble. But the fact is, Mr. Boakai has been this decent family man who has maintained and kept his marriage despite of the ups and downs every marriage has. And I would think so. He will go to have children. Mr. Boakai has also been humble as a human being. Humility is lacking in many of us. Whether or not humility is a virtue for becoming a leader is not what I'm prepared to tell you at this time, except when we get to the political aspect of this presentation. And so Boakai has demonstrated humility to the greatest extent. Congratulations to Comrade Boakai. Loyalty has been in Mr. Boakai's DNA. We saw that when he served as a warehouse supervisor, we are told. He will exemplify the greatest humility and loyalty to his duty, and will become a managing director for APMC, we are told. And fast forward, Mr. Boakai will continue to exhibit that tremendous humility. Minister of Agriculture, he will become, will exemplify humility. We did not hear or have not heard about any gross insubordination that has been exhibited by Mr. Boakai to any of his superiors. No history of that on Mr. Boakai's part. So this Comrade Boakai has demonstrated humility. Congratulations to Comrade Boakai. To folks who think I don't love this man, this gentleman, this vice president who served our country blessedly. For him, he served. And he served for many years. Some people say 40. His top surrogate said 25 years. So I'll take 25 in government. We are told Mr. Boakai is also Mr. Clean. What does that got to do with the presidency? Somebody may ask. If this man is clean as a human being, you think he will run a clean government. You would think he will run a clean city. And you would think he will want to see the country be clean of all of the vices that have undermined our social and economic development. Oh, yes, you would think he will want to do it. So that is something Mr. Boakai has. That is a plus to his personal life. Now, what we know for most people or some people is that whatever that is part of their DNA, their human nature, wherever they go to carry, they carry that with them. I can boast of being a dedicated person when it comes to my responsibility as a human being. Everywhere I went, I have carried that with me. It is one thing I'm prepared to say any day about myself, my dedication to any piece of job that I have been given. My friends will tell you about that. But I am not the guy who talks about himself because I'm insignificant when it comes to the subject of leadership. I'm insignificant. So let us go to the meat of this presentation. Mr. Boakai is Mr. Clean, we are told. Those who have visited his office, they say he's always organized. Those who have visited his home say his home is always clean. What has that got to do with the presidency, Ansony? If this man is a clean man, do you think he would like to see a ministry of finance that is dirty and filthy? Maybe not, except he's not Mr. Clean. Will he be able to fire a minister who will not be able to maintain any institution in a sanitary condition? I will want to believe yes. But again, that is not the crumbs of this presentation, folks. So let us dive deeper here. My friend Leo will say. So Mr. Boakai, the good things about him are as follows. He's a decent family man. He's a humble character. He is loyal. He exemplified the greatest degree of loyalty to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf when Mr. Boakai was our nation's vice president. Mr. Boakai exhibited the highest degree of loyalty. We are told he never disrespected Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and he did not utter any gross insubordination to his boss at the time. Loyalty, sometimes, folks, is a virtue. It is a good attribute for someone to be able to possess. Will you want to be disrespected by somebody who is your honor man or honor woman? No, you don't want that. It brings chaos. It brings disunity. It brings conflict. And conflicts will go to ruin. Whatever good thing that may be going on for the benefit of a group, a nation, and society at large. Now, another thing that is good about Boakai, we've been told, and it is your business to verify these things, that Mr. Boakai is not wasteful. Mr. Boakai is not extravagant. And that Mr. Boakai is not greedy when it comes to material wealth. This guy is doing something here for Mr. Boakai. This is what I do. I'm fair. I come with the truth on it. Yes, is Mr. Boakai wasteful? Mr. Boakai in his life have not demonstrated any level of wastefulness or being wasteful. Is that true, Ansony? Do you believe that? That's why we told that is a good thing about Mr. Boakai. So let's talk about not being extravagant. We are told that Mr. Boakai has been living in his house he built some over 30 plus years ago and has not been able to build mansions as Mr. Weah is doing. Mr. Weah does not have one home. He has so many homes. He's acquiring properties. He got a private jet. I don't know if he's still using that, something he did not have. Mr. Boakai got himself a moving recording studio. Mr. Boakai did not get that himself for the 12 years he was in power. Maybe that's a good thing. Mr. Weah got himself a church. Boakai did not acquire a church. He stayed in a church that he's been deacon of for some time now. Mr. Boakai is not extravagant, we are told. It's important that we know that. Mr. Boakai is not greedy when it comes to material wealth. He doesn't have all the cars that Weah is carrying. The last time Weah got himself a slingshot, they call it. It was this kind of vehicle that celebrity would use. He got it for several thousands of dollars. I don't know if he's ever going to have time to ride anyway, but Weah will get that for himself. Weah is greedy for material wealth. His desire for material wealth cannot be satisfied. They have a big word for it. I don't want to use it. He has an insatiable desire for material wealth. Let me go Satya. So that is Combre Weah, the guy who occupies the most powerful position in the land. He's more about himself than he is for the people. And I'm telling you, this guy called Weah was chosen over Mr. Boakai to be our nation's president. And he has continued to exhibit greed, extravagance, selfishness. He's all about enjoying himself, something that Boakai did not exhibit. So this is one of the things that have brought to eminence the possibility of a Boakai presidency. But the big question for we are making this presentation is that possibility is being destroyed by Mr. Boakai himself, either knowingly or unknowingly. And we will bring that to you. Now let's talk about another good thing about Boakai. Boakai earned for himself significant experience working in government for 25 years. And I think I already articulated this aspect of it, where her supervisor will go to become what you call a general manager for LPMC. Fast forward, at some point will become a managing director for what's became the petroleum refinery in Liberia. Fast forward, we'll go to become Minister of Agriculture. Fast forward, Mr. Boakai at some point was head, I believe, became ambassador for the YMCA. He became vice president for Liberia for 12 solid years. Mr. Boakai has served in so many capacities. So the wealth of experience that Mr. Boakai has acquired over the length of time he spent in government and in all the private areas, and the number of people he has interacted with, budgets that he has, supervisory, powers over, and all that, all these things, those are significant, wealth of experience that he has acquired over time. So you would think that coming to this business of running for the presidency, it should be more like something he will be able to display the level of experience he acquired and for him to make things easier for himself. Now, another thing that Mr. Boakai has done that is good about Boakai that we must acknowledge is Mr. Boakai was gracious. He graciously conceded, let me make a correction here quickly. Graciously conceded to President Weah in 2018. Yeah. Mr. Boakai graciously conceded to President Weah in 2018. Look, folks, when one loses an election, it's painful. I was not the presidential candidate in 2016. When my preferred candidate in the U.S. presidential election of 2016, Hillary Clinton, will receive a blow when the final results were announced to a guy called Donald Trump, a bigot, a cheat, a liar, a demagogue, to become president of the greatest democracy on earth. Hillary Clinton was this accomplished diplomat and lawmaker and an experienced public servant who served as first lady of the United States of America, a lawyer who came from a prestigious institution to a Trump whose life story has been, out of cloud by, dubious activities. And this guy's mouth of raining insults and disrespect and racism on his part. This guy was not a better representation of the country I came to know as the United States of America. But that guy will go and defeat Hillary Clinton. It was painful for me who was not in the race. So I'm saying all this to tell you, Mr. Boakai suffered similar fate when he ran against a rookie, George Weah, who has no public or private governance experience in no shape and form. Mr. Boakai lost to this guy, all because all odds were against him. But that's part of the pains associated with such a humiliating defeat for Mr. Boakai. Mr. Boakai conceded to President Weah gracefully, with grace, He congratulated him and he thanked him. And he went as far as saying his name, that the name Joseph Boakai will never be used to plunge the country into chaos or to spill blood. Mr. Boakai was on point and so said and was gracious. He was, what is the word these people like to use? I know it, but sometimes like he was, let me stop. Mr. Boakai was gracious. He conceded defeat. That was a good thing. He demonstrated leadership by doing so. That was the first transition from one democratic administration to the other after over 40 plus years in our nation's history. And Boakai, whether or not he saw it, recognized that pivotal movement in our nation's democracy. And so he said, I will not be a storming block to the will of the people. Mr. Boakai will march to the podium. He will grab the podium and he will look at his supporters on the side and look in his eyes and he looked forward. And I believe Mr. Boakai was able to rise up to the occasion and the test of time and will deliver that message in which he considered gracefully to a rocky judge where I believe he knew was about to plunge this country into further poverty and nothingness. And so the story of today we are experiencing. So folks, that's another good thing about Mr. Boakai we must recognize. And to the folks who see me as anti-Boakai, I'm not anti-Boakai. I am on a mission in searching for leadership. And I know you are searching. But some of you take policing lines. And your policing line cloud your judgment. And so you don't ask the questions that needed to be asked. And so you don't dig deeper. You don't do the analysis that are necessary to get us to this promised land. That glorious land of liberty, by God's command, or should I say God, by the command of our ancestors, they left us this piece of land to make it prosperous, to develop it with ideas embedded in our African values. And yet I see people running to Europe and running to America and looking for what they will not get. What they will get will be crumbs with not developed Liberia. Do you know about the story of the Americans giving of little 5 cents here and there? And now because they do so, they want to come and talk to us that we are their children. Oh, I agree with them because we have not gotten our acts together. So folks, the story that I'm telling you is we are in search for a leadership of this country. We do not know and we will never know who that person is going to be. And that is why we must ask the right questions, because if we hold them accountable squarely and perfectly and sincerely, maybe they will fall in line. Maybe they will see that we have the tenacity and we have the fortitude to demand what is right for this country, and they will not play us. But when you become sycophantic in this search because you are a member of that political party or that political leader has become your God, then you are now doing us justice as a people. What a story of Liberia. It is sad indeed. And I don't want to be part of it because I am not the smartest guy and I will never be one. But I will always try to be one of the serious ones who's asking questions, who's searching. Search with me. And let us not allow this train to hit the rock. It will be bad. You get calls. It's not easy. Are you not tired of the calls? You think if your brothers and sisters were working because we have a responsive government that is creating the enabling environment and making sure that the private sector thrives and that the roads are built for Mamusu to take her plantain and bring it to maybe Kakata to sell, where she be calling you. These are the things we need to look at as we search for this country, Liberia. We have not formed this country yet. The piece of land is there, but the land is not the country. The country that us as a people and how we develop this country and the things we do to make life better and meaningful, to improving the material condition of our people. That is what will make life living, a worth living for them, and not make life a living hell for them. I hope you are hearing me well. So let us continue with this presentation, folks. So yes, it was a good thing when Boakai graciously conceded to President Weah. Now, another final good thing I want to talk about before I get to the meat of this presentation, which is my topic, how Boakai destroys or has destroyed the possibility of a Boakai presidency. This is key. He did that. And I'm going to give it to you analytically. And you will agree with me, even if you are a hardcore Unity Party partisan, you will agree with me, except you don't want a Liberia. So yes, Boakai is always concise. Boakai is always brave during his interview, and that is a good thing. I know us Liberians, we talk long. When we're having program, it will be the longest. We have an interview, it will be the longest. We're doing presentation, it will be the longest. I am guilty of that. Presentations are long. You're beating around the bush. You're having a program, it's taking 15 hours. Even the issue of time, we don't respect time. Boakai, to his credit, and I can say that boldly and boldly, that Mr. Boakai, to his credit, of all the Liberians that have followed, Mr. Boakai is always concise. When he's being interviewed, he gave short, concise answers. He being a politician, sometimes he try to invade, some of the questions, right? That's what politicians do. But he always tried to be as brief as possible. My favorite interview, my favorite interview of Mr. Boakai that I follow, and I was so impressed, was the one he did with the BBC when he visited the United States. He was brief with his answers, and that was good. So I believe that interview lasted about 5 or 7 minutes or so, and Mr. Boakai was able to answer about 10 questions. Come to think about it, that is a good thing. You listen to our politicians, you ask them one question, they want to lay the longest premise of all, and then the next thing you know, they get caught up in their own premise and they forget the question that's being asked. Mr. Boakai is not that kind of politician. It is a plus politically for him that he's always concise and brief. Now, the downside of this is Mr. Boakai will always give answers that will get him into trouble. The good part is that the answers are always concise and brief. In some instances, they are to the point, and most instances, they are off point, and he gets in trouble. And what happens is some of the answers that he gave are answers that continue to haunt him today. And I will going to bring you those ones. So those are the good things that I have come to realize about Mr. Boakai. So those things should be things he should capitalize on. He should be using. He should be leveraging as he had been on this journey to the Liberian presidency. Now, folks, let us come to how Mr. Boakai has destroyed his possible presidency since he started this journey. And before I can do that, I will take a very short break. Do not go anywhere, because this is the meat. This is the actual presentation for which I invited you. And I will be able to take calls, and I will be able to read your comments, and don't go anywhere. Look, folks, the Boakai presidency was possible. If anybody has destroyed it, it's Boakai who did. How he did it, that is what I'm about to bring to you. And maybe it is not that too late for Mr. Boakai to look at these things that I have researched and I have itemized, and I am about to analyze and break down. Maybe his in-laws need to come and listen. And it shouldn't come with this thing that, who is this guy, this empty guy here trying to lecture us about this and the other. Come with humility as Boakai would do. And take note, disagree where necessary. And take what is possible. If you really want to help this man become president, do not become a problem to him as you have always been, and just as Boakai himself has always been. Please stop that now. This is your last opportunity to listen to art and save Mr. Boakai and make him president. It is still possible, but will you listen? That is the doubt that I have. But still, because I love this country, I will make the presentation. Without taking that break, when we come back, we are going into it. You will love it. It will be biting, it will be truthful, it will be analytical. But boy, I tell you, you will love it. A break, and we will be right back. All right, folks, thanks for staying with me here. Again, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program, the Hour of Politics. This is one of the analytical sections, these editions, and you want to be here. And if you are just joining again, I cannot say welcome enough, and thanks for joining us. Share the show if you are on YouTube or you are on Facebook, or if you're also watching on Twitter, you can also very kindly share as we continue with this presentation. Again, for those who are just joining us, the topic, how Boakai destroyed the possibility of a Boakai presidency. And the goal of the presentation is to tell Team Boakai how their guy has helped, including them, to have destroyed this possibility of Mr. Boakai becoming president, and how they can see this truth now and maybe reverse course, swallow their pride, accept criticism, get the free research out on it, and make Boakai president, which has been Mr. Boakai's goal and which has been their goal too. And maybe they can help to save this country. But will they? I doubt it. Yet, I do it for Liberia. Folks, let's get into it. So, how does Boakai destroy this possibility? Mr. Boakai destroyed this possibility with few things. Zero advocacy record, never stood for anything in his life. That is significant. It might look so simplistic to you, but that's my job to break it down. Mr. Boakai has no record of advocacy. Does one have to be an advocate to be president? No. So why are you bringing it? Because it is applause politically. Has Boakai stood for anything that connects him to Liberia? There's a guy called Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King was a fierce advocate for social justice. Dr. King was a black man. During his time in the United States, Dr. King was not liked by those who had subscribed to this white supremacy idea. Those people were in the majority. But yet Dr. King stood tall and firm. He was persecuted. He stood for his people. He advocated. He was a prelate. He was a man of God. He was a pastor. He stood, he spoke, he preached, he advocated for the black race in America. And not only the black race, he advocated for equality. He advocated for decency. He advocated for respect for the human being. He called America. He provoked the conscience of the American society to respect its constitution that said, we hold the truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Dr. King was telling them, you have a constitution that is the foundation of the fundamental law of this country that says that all men, you didn't say some men, you said all men are created equal. That is what you have written in your constitution. You must respect this constitution. And there's no way you can respect this constitution when you discriminate against the black race, that they are not good enough to sit on a bus, that they are not good enough to occupy or to rent in a particular apartment, that they are not good enough to occupy a particular post or position in a particular company. Dr. King will become prominent for his advocacy for truth. Though King died, King remains one of America's respected leaders. He is the world-acclaimed and most referenced advocate. His advocacy did not only stop in America. He advocated against the war in Vietnam. When Americans were getting slaughtered and killed, he said no. So his advocacy was not about particular race. It was about justice. It was about fairness. It was about equality. Americans got connected to Dr. King, black or white, and they marched with him for justice, for equality, for fair treatment of all and not some. The name Dr. King has gone into the books of history, highly respected across the globe for his advocacy. I'm not saying Boakai needed to be a kind of Dr. King's kind of advocate, but he needed to be a semblance of advocacy. To my recollection, I don't know of any position, be it controversial or not, that Mr. Boakai has taken on any national issue, on any critical national issue in our country for which he can be remembered. We remember Boakai because he was at PMC, that's it. Remember Boakai because he was at PRC, that's it. Remember Boakai because he was agriculture minister, that's it. Remember Boakai because he was vice president, that's it. There is no articulated public policy position that Mr. Boakai has taken. Not a single article he has written on any critical issue in our country. When it came to the issue of war crime code, Boakai was flat throughout until of late when he said will support the war and economic crimes code. He has no position when he was in power for 12 years, when Liberians in their majority were yelling and protesting and demanding the establishment of the War and Economic Crime Code. Mr. Boakai articulated zero position on that issue. And so Boakai drove Liberians away. He did not connect to Liberians who wanted the War Crime Code. That is just an example. Name me one position Boakai has taken on a serious, controversial, debatable national issue for which the name Boakai can be mentioned. Zero. Zero and zero. Are there Liberians who have taken position? Oh, yes. The lack of Emmanuel Sieh. He has been loud, clear, bold, and unapologetic about the 250,000 that died. Emmanuel Sieh, of no standing in politics, in national leadership, has been bold because he saw a wrong and he knew it to be wrong, and he has been point on. Credit to Brother Emmanuel. But when it comes to Boakai, zero position on such an issue. Have we heard Boakai on dual citizenship? I believe he may have said something, but how many Liberians are aware of a Boakai position on dual citizenship? Look, there are certain things people who want to be leaders in the country should make themselves known. In fact, they should become the face of any such issue because of the significance of the issue. How the issue will connect such leader to the people. Boakai has zero advocacy record. He has not taken a firm position on any serious national issue. If he did, he's either quiet and talking about it with his friends. He has not been able to articulate that. That is a maniance. If anything Liberians can connect to Boakai, is this main fact that he served as vice president. Anybody can be a vice president, folks. The last time I checked, Mose Blah was one. The last time I checked, Inon Dogolie was one. Anybody can be. And the main fact of the vice presidency is that you are chosen by the one who becomes president. So it is not something that you compete for. People don't compete for it. The last time I checked, Trump picked Mike Pence. Mike Pence never competed. It is a political plus. When one occupies that consequential position, it gives you experience. People think you know what to do. That's it. Harry Monoba was vice president. Vice presidents are quiet. Now we have Joy Howard Taylor. I don't know if she has become another park car. So, folks, the idea that Mr. Boakai has no advocacy record, never stood for anything of national significance that we can point to, that is on Boakai political resume. No one, not one. Now let's talk about this whole thing that Mr. Boakai is indecisive. It is very hard to take a firm position on anything. I think I capture all that too. So that is Boakai. When leaders who are leading or want to lead a group of people, some of whom depend on the leader to be the one deciding the course. And when that leader is indecisive, the people feel let down. That has been the case of Dr. Boakai. Some of you don't know that he's a doctor. All Liberians want to be doctor except me. Mr. Boakai also is an absent leader. He's never in charge. He's always controlled by his handlers. Let me break it down with specific examples. And I just throwing, flashy words at you with no meaning. Yes, folks, Mr. Boakai has been an absent leader. Mr. Boakai has been the head of the opposition Unity Party, a once vibrant political institution when Ellen Johnson took power. When Ellen was in charge, Unity Party was alive. Boakai took over Unity Party when in reverse mode and chaos and mute. So it has been. This Unity Party honors Boakai's watch insulted Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Boakai would not be able to stop that. In fact, he was more like an accomplice in that art of denigrating, disrespecting, insulting. Boakai did not insult Ellen. No, he did not. Don't get me wrong. But Boakai was there when the likes of William Pay were insulting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Boakai did not put stop to it. Not a clear position. He never rebuked them. For Boakai, he felt it was good for him. And there where Boakai's trouble for the presidency started. As a leader, when the chaos was ongoing, he was nowhere to be seen. He was not in charge when my Page was in charge. He was being controlled by his handlers, and things that they said that were against his interest, things they said that disrespected his former boss, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Boakai allowed those things to fly. Boakai is yet to be reconciled with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The efforts are not serious in that regard. And so, Mr. Boakai has not been in charge as a leader of the Unity Party. He has been an absent leader, being controlled by his handlers when they disrespected Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And this claim that he's a reconciler has proven to be flat. That is a big black lie. Mr. Boakai has no history of reconciling political conflicts. Unity Party is in pieces. Some of you don't know. They are all saving faces, if I can put it that way. Unity Party's strength remains Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and those loyal to her. Period. Take it to the bank. It's not a Kara's Great bank that is bankrupt with corruption. I'm talking about the bank of truth telling. Take it there, you will find it. The main fact that Mr. Boakai has not been able to reconcile this serious and consequential political difference in the Unity Party, that in itself has robbed Mr. Boakai of a Boakai presidency. Imagine if Ellen is on board with Boakai. How will Unity Party be? They will be looking good. Money will not become their problem. Mr. Boakai job will be easier because he will have the madam. I don't like the madam when it comes to policy, but I like the madam because she is a go-getter. She knows. She does. She gets. Madam. Oh, I like people who go for it. Policy-wise, her love for Liberia, I put 150 question marks to those. Her love for Liberia and her policy. But Ellen is a doer. You can't take that away from her. Ellen is a doer leader. She knows what she wants. She wants it for her own name and benefit. And she goes for it. You need that person on your team. Mr. Boakai does not have his immediate boss, the woman who made Boakai to be Boakai today. The reason I'm talking about Boakai today, we are talking about Boakai becoming a possible president for our country, is because of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. That is the woman he has not been able to get on his side. That is a political menace. That is a destruction for Mr. Boakai. Is he making an effort? Mr. Boakai will make a statement that, well, she has a choice to make. And she was the one who chose me. So let her decide what she wants. Brilliant statement. But politically, not smart at all. Your greatest player is like the coach who has Messi on his team is saying, let Messi decide whether or not he wants to play. That player does not recognize the brilliance of Messi. Messi's passes alone, even if he cannot score a goal, you need him on the field. His pressing intimidates your opponents or his opponents. And then you say, well, let Messi decide. What kind of coach are you? You use your greatest weapons when you are in a battle. When you are in a warfare, you want to make sure you have your best and greatest weapon at full display, especially when the going gets tough in battle. For Mr. Boakai, no. Let the player decide. You make such a decision, that is not smart. That is against you. That is Mr. Boakai. This is how, or this is one of the ways he has destroyed the possible presidency, folks. And Mr. Boakai will allow his handlers to make decisions for him. And I will touch on that further. The Mo Alis of the world are silent for Boakai. Mo Ali will be telling press, do not, Mr. Boakai is not taking questions when there is a press statement being delivered, or when there's a press conference that Mr. Boakai is delivering or having, and no question asked. Mr. Boakai would not recognize that, look, we have the press here, we have invited them, Liberians have questions, I want to be able to serve them, let us give them the opportunity to ask questions. And let me answer the question. Mr. Boakai, to his credit, he's not somebody who can answer questions. Mr. Boakai is a smart man. He's able to answer questions. He's demonstrated that he has the ability to take questions. Oh, I see. I know now. Because they know Mr. Boakai will always give an answer that will get him in trouble. We squander opportunities is one of those. Today they continue to clean it up. It's hurting Mr. Boakai. I was a race car and I was parked. And yet, Mr. Boakai was collecting the checks. That also is one of the statements that Mr. Boakai has made that he continued to clean up, they continue to justify, and it's just right there hanging there. And maybe that was why Mo Ali will decide that Mr. Boakai cannot take a question. Folks, are you following? Is this thing getting juicy now? Mr. Boakai always makes statements that work against him politically, as I was saying, folks. It was Mr. Boakai who said, and I quote, in the CPP, we were playing our feet so deep that only victory would be the only option with the CPP. Fast forward, this Mr. Boakai will give a 199-degree turn and say, when you are going on the farm, paraphrasing, and there is a river that is overflowing and you cannot cross, you turn around. Really? Some people celebrate that Mr. Boakai, oh, he's good at parables. They don't know the meanings of the parables. It has the literal meaning, it has the connotative meaning, and it has the denotative meaning. In politics, we look at things connotatively. I am a guy who I do read politics fiercely. Politics, we look at things connotatively, based on the denotative meaning. Sorry, I may be confusing some people, but many people are well educated than I am. What am I saying? When you see a problem as a leader, you do not run away like a chicken. You stand like a lion and face the problem and devise solution. Mr. Boakai, in essence, was saying, that river is a problem, and I'm not a man. I'm going to take the other road and run. Mr. Boakai runs away from problem. So when the CPP got in chaos, even on his watch, even though Mr. Boakai promised that the CPP will hold, even though Mr. Boakai promised that when I get to Monrovia, and I was in his BBC interview, that I have the track record of resolving issues. The internal wranglings in the CPP will be resolved, Mr. Boakai vowed. And now Mr. Boakai got to Monrovia. It's like Mr. Boakai met the river. And now he's saying, well, the river is overflowing. Even though I'm going that direction, because of this river, I'm going to take a bypass. I'm going to take a shortcut. Wait a minute, Mr. Boakai. Did you now say you have the track records of resolving issues and you were coming to Monrovia and that you were going to resolve the internal wrangling in the CPP? Did you now say we will plan our fees so deep that the only and only option will be a victory with the CPP? Mr. Boakai. So Mr. Boakai is running away from problem. He saw a problem, the CPP. That was a conflict. And added a statement with the record. They told us he's a reconciler. Well, reconcile with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf first, then I'll believe you. Reconcile the Unity Party first, and then I'll believe you. Folks, am I making sense here analytically? And so, Comrade Boakai, the last time I was talking to a comrade who is in the unit, who supports Mr. Boakai, the guy said, but Ansony, why are you so always disrespectful to Ambassador Boakai? I said, what you call disrespect? I mean, you can't even call a man Ambassador Boakai. You don't even call the man Vice President Boakai. The man is Mr. Boakai. So why is this thing with title? Now, the very person that was telling me that, when he talking about Obama, he will say Obama. When he talking about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, he say Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Sometimes he says Ellen. That's the very person. Though. You see these people? Do you see these people? They always expose themselves in just a second. This person refers to Obama as Obama, Trump as Trump, Ellen as Ellen. But when it comes to Boakai, he wants me to join him to sing his sycophantic hallelujah. I will not do that, for I do not worship any man. I respect every man. His name is Mr. Boakai. And that is respect. And folks need to understand that. I don't have to call the man by his title. Where has title taken us? We've had all the beautiful titles. Minister for Presidential Affairs. Minister with our portfolio. Pro tem of the Senate. Mr. Speaker. Deputy Speaker. Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs. All these colorful titles, we have them. We are hungry. We are dying politically. We are dying economically. The nation is on life support. That's part of the titles can tell me about title. For those of you who call Mr. Boakai Ambassador Boakai, Vice President Boakai, has that solved any problem? Of course not. And it will not. The work will do it. Let me go back to the topic. So, folks, I'm never disrespectful to this gentleman. Decent family man. Impeccable experience. Who has gotten this tremendous opportunity to become president. Something that you guys don't know, may I share with you. Mr. Boakai, before he was picked by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, he had a presidential ambition, according to folks that live in Mr. Boakai's community. And this is true. That is true. Mr. Boakai decided that he wanted to be president. He even had, from what I've been told, that he had a first community meeting concerning his presidential bid. And fast forward, Ellen picked him, and so he relinquished that. So I'm saying this to say that Mr. Boakai has always had this ambition. He conceived this ambition to become president at some point in time. His decision to say, well, I'll take the vice presidency, bring me to the national stage was not bad. It was a good decision by him, right? Because he could not have won Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Georgia in no shape, and he's been proven in 2017, right? But now we are talking about Boakai because he served as vice president of the Republic of Liberia. And so how is this man not being able to capitalize on this name recognition he earned for himself? Against a Wia who has zero corporate or political experience. Wia is not a leader in any shape and form. He's a laid-back kind of guy who enjoys himself always. He allows his handlers to do for him while they celebrate and praise him. And to make sure that the emperor is taken care of. And when the emperor is served, all his loot, he's all good. That's a man Boakai to beat. This is the man over whom, this is the man for whom Liberians said no to Boakai, and he has let them down. And Boakai himself will go on record for saying, the Liberian people will come to me now because Joshua had let them down. And yet he is not doing those things that will make him president. One of the most consequential opportunities that came Mr. Boakai's way was the CPP. And this is the crux of the matter. This is where Mr. Boakai nailed himself in the coffin, politically speaking, and destroyed his opportunity of becoming Liberia's president. The CPP was formed. First of all, Mr. Boakai negotiated, he participated from not any position of strength. Mr. Boakai, given the fact that he netted more votes, over 400,000 in the first round, he was the only candidate who won at least one county. He came from the biggest political party, the Unity Party. And despite Mr. Boakai party being, criticized, rightfully so, and I agree 110% that his party was corrupt, the party became unpopular. So they will go to lose the elections, right? And yet Mr. Boakai will get this amount of votes because of whatever good in many people's eyes that the Unity Party did. And some people saw Mr. Boakai as a decent man, right? Who has no issues, some people believe. And so Mr. Boakai had more numbers in the election than any other person besides Joshua, right? Apart from Joshua. And so if Liberians are to decide now who should be their next president, it became obvious that Boakai was in the bed. Because the guy who they felt could do the job is not doing the job. And they chose over Boakai. So the remorse there is that, or the second thought is that, maybe Boakai would have done a better job. So politically speaking, it brought Boakai to that picture. It brought him to that position to lead. And he needed all the help he could get, right? Because he didn't have much help in 2017. Politically, things were against him, to be truthful here. But he did not get as much help as he would have needed. He didn't have much money. He didn't have the endorsements of the likes of Cummings, the Liberty Party. Few people went to him, and right, yes. So, folks, Boakai didn't get that much help. So Boakai needed all the help he could get now to win. And that became the CPP. And the CPP was tried. The CPP was tested. The CPP has proven that it was a winning political vehicle. They won seats. Local and insignificant political actor Darius DeLong. He won in Monserrato County against the CDC 2 times in a split of less than 2 years. DeLong won only and only because of the CPP. So if an insignificant or political actor like Darius DeLong could win decisively with landslide, with a tsunami victory in Monserrato County, CDC strongest or ever in its political history, when the CPP could win with a guy like DeLong, who has no national name recognition in any shape or form, who has been eating crumbs from Ellen Johnson's salad, when he could win, folks, how dare you doubt the possibility of a Boakai victory with the CPP? And Boakai should have known this. And Boakai would not see with any eyes that was his greatest opportunity. And he sat out of the bag. He allowed his handlers to pull him apart, and they all collectively, and he would not be the adult in the room, and they destroyed the CPP, and Boakai is in political tatters today. If Boakai is not to be president, it is Boakai who has destroyed Boakai's presidential possibility. And that is the fact. And that is the fact. If the Long could win, who could not win anything in Montserrat County? Many of you might know that the Long contested, if not 2 times. He couldn't get anywhere. He could not get anywhere. But this guy won twice in less than 2 years in Montserrat County because of the CPP, a Dillon who has no serious national leadership experience or name recognition win. So Boakai could win with the CPP. Boakai needed to know this. But what happened? Just as he's not a man of his own, he's not a man who can take decision, he could not tell the likes of Uri. He could not tell the likes of Costa that, look, be careful here. We need the CPP to survive. We have to do everything in our power that I become the candidate of the CPP. We all say here repeatedly, it was like the slogan of the CPP became the CPP will hold, it will hold, it will hold, it will hold. Boakai has several speeches saying the CPP will hold. Even in his takeover speech, he said that. Even when he came to the United States, he said that. Few days later, he capitulates. He somersaults. He betrayed his own words. He went against his own glorious political opportunity and vehicle to becoming Liberia's president. Mr. Boakai helped to destroy the CPP. Minus the CPP, Boakai presidency cannot be sure. This idea of framework alteration is a narrative and a political gain, whether it was true or not. It was used because Mr. Boakai was not in a leadership position to win a primary. How could Mr. Boakai not be able to win a primary? In an arrangement in which he happened to be the biggest political party. It said because each party in that CPP who had equal delegates. Yes. So then it will come to the issue of negotiation and persuasion and leadership. It said that Mr. Boakai could not provide leadership that will win him majority of the delegates. If Mr. Boakai could not do so, does it not say more about Mr. Boakai than any other person? Of course it does. The most accomplished in terms of experience in government, in leadership, and more so there was just like between two persons, a communist who we all is a just come, a political nobody, a stranger who has no numbers, and Mr. Boakai and the handlers would not go into the primary to beat this guy. And because at some point they got afraid that they didn't have what it takes to beat communists in the primary, so they resorted into a tactic, all right, to kill the idea of a primary and instituted blood voting, and if it could not hold. And so the other decision was like, let Chakla They didn't know that Chakla and the CPP was undermining Boakai's chances. Boakai needed the CPP more than any other person in the CPP. And here's why. This is Mr. Boakai's last chance to run for president. This is Mr. Boakai's last chance to run as president of the Republic of Liberia. I'm not sure Mr. Boakai will have appetite for the presidency in 2029. This is not any disrespect. Age will not be in his favor. His health will not be there. The strength will not be there. Already he's having challenges given that he's advancing age, which is a fact. So this is his last chance. So if anybody needed the CPP to win, clearly the CPP was the path to victory for the opposition. No other way they could have beaten Weah if they have held together, or if they had to hold together. They can be Weah. But Mr. Boakai, the elder in the room, could now call Ure and say, hey, Ure, you shut up. What numbers you bring to this table? Your party could not get 0.5%. Nada. Zero. And you want to come. The thing is that Alex Cummings netted 112,000. Alex Cummings might have grown his numbers. Alex Cummings brings money to the table. Ure does not bring any number. Any serious number. You need the Liberty Party. The Liberty Party netted 9%. Mr. Boakai in the first round got 28%. His 28, Liberty Party 9, Cummings 7. It's more than we had a percentage that he got in the first round. Clear victory. So if Boakai were serious, he should have done everything to strike a deal with Cummings since they were the only two. Now look, young brother, let's forget about this primary thing because it will further divide us. Let us strike a deal with this consensus thing. So young brother, here's the deal. And the deal was easy. Look, I'm your big brother. Play your big brother card. 2, I served as vice president before. It is conventional wisdom that makes no sense to even Cummings to say, Boakai should be vice president again. So Cummings, here's the deal. Boakai is on record for saying you cannot give a man's job to a boy. Joshua, he said, Boakai said, it's a boy. Who's holding his man's job? Has he forgotten that? So tell Cummings, say, look, young brother, we promised the people the CPP will hold. The CPP has been tested and has worked. With the CPP, we win, clear cut, no doubt about it. We can't destroy this. We can't allow our differences to destroy this thing. Don't listen to Ure. He's an insignificant player. Don't listen to Costa. He's a guy who trades his mouth for bread. Don't listen to those guys. Let's look at the bigger picture. Here's the deal, young brother. I go number 1, you go number 2. And then you tell Cummings, look, Cummings, I know you want to be president, and I can't stop that. But be like me. I serve as vice president. Yeah, I am. You go as VP to me. I can go for 4 years. I resign, you take over. Or I can serve 5 years. I resign, you take over. And then when you are going into the next election, you are going as an incumbent president. 4 years of a Boakai presidency will mean something. Boakai who have accomplished his dream of serving as president of this country. The Boakai presidency was possible only and only if, with surety, with the CPP, Mr. Boakai, as an experienced leader, we are told, should have known this and should have done everything humanly possible to actualize that. Did he do that? No. He was never in the room. Probably he was taking a nap. Probably he was listening to Ure. Probably he was listening to Costa. Probably he was listening to the insignificant political actors who are all in this thing just for the positions they would get for them to ride cars and be called honorables. It was not about our Liberia. If it were about Liberia, they would have seen the bigger picture. And Boakai was that voice. That voice should have been that man, that elderly statement in that room. He has tasted power. Power should not be something that he should consume himself with now. You serve as vice president for 12 solid years. What other power do you need at this age? I told you were on the mission to serve this country from this boy you said is occupying the presidency. Have you forgotten that we got a boy in the executive mansion, Mr. Boakai? Will you not do everything to bring forth that which you said, to get this boy out. They all went on record. We will make president. We are a one-term president. They've forgotten all that. Ego, pride, and greed consumed them all. Started fighting among themselves. How could these men, the two men, Alex and Boakai, do this to us? How could they do this to us? When I say do this to us, not that I won't be anybody. I love competition. I love a political contest. I love a democracy that is competitive. I love that. It is good for us as a people. They destroyed it. And what we're going to have, because of what Mr. Boakai has done, I'm putting all the blame on Boakai. In this presentation, he does not share all the blame, but I'm putting the blame on him in this presentation. Because to whom much is given, much is expected. Mr. Boakai has been given the greatest opportunity of his lifetime to serve in government for years, including vice president. He's the elder in the room. He should know about what it takes to run a country. He should also know about what it takes to win. He was read by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When Ellen Johnson Sirleaf grabbed the what's the party name? The Liberian Action Party, the Unity Party, and another party name I always forget him, folks. Help me with that party. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, despite of international name recognition, she knew that she was going against a popular Joshua. He was a celebrity. Where was an icon. His name has surpassed all other names in our country. That is a fact, even if you hate Joshua. Ellen knew that. So Ellen put all these parties together. And Ellen went against Wea. Ellen solidified her stances with the international community. Because she knew she was going against somebody who was connected to the ordinary people. For the people, they were Joshua and Joshua's were them. You could not take that away. Ellen knew more like she was the underdog at that time when it came to popularity. Boakai was right there. He saw those calculations Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had made. Ellen will go to win. How would Boakai would not know this? That he needed stronger forces, that he needed a coalition, that he needed to do everything to hold it together just as he's promised until he delivers the victory. How will he get short-sighted? By insignificant people like Custer, by insignificant people like Europe, and will listen to them. They will tell him, let us leave the CPP. Why will he listen to my beloved GM brother George Lobo, who is on record for saying we will kill the CPP, it's just a matter of time. And they will kill that CPP. Killing that CPP meant the political death of Boakai's presidency. They didn't know that. They don't have eyes to see. They are eloquent. I'm not. But I have better eyes. In politics, always keep your eyes on the bigger picture. They forgot about the bigger picture. Alex Cummings, they should have negotiated with him as a winning partner. Look, his presence with them who have salvaged the records of Unity Party that is distasteful to Liberians. That is a plus he brings to the table. And he has some numbers to his credit. So, folks, the whole thing is that the idea of the CPP was an assumption that Boakai will be number one, Cummings will be number one. The folks in the Unity Party, they knew that. The people in the ANC knew that. They should not be pretentious here. It would not have made sense to say Boakai should go number 2 to Cummings. That would not have made no logical sense in any shape or form. That would have even been disrespect to Boakai. So that was the deal. This man, as the elder, should have hashed out deals with Cummings instead of bringing this useless framework alteration. It does not help Cummings. It does not help Boakai even more. Look, I am about political competition that eliminate the noise, grow our democracy, and make it much more competitive. So if anybody destroy the Boakai presidency, I am putting nearly all of the blame on Boakai because it is Boakai's responsibility to ensure that he becomes president. No one in their serious mind. Look, I listened to a good friend. I don't know if I should call his name here, who says something that is so true. That it's not that Mr. Boakai is the best, but it's more so that Mr. Boakai can become a transitional president for Liberia. Because what this boy called George Weah is doing is unbelievable. So Boakai should be the transition to a much better democracy and leadership in our country because of the name recognition he earned over the time. Mr. Boakai should have gone into that deal. And after that deal, go for retirement and leave the political landscape as former president of Liberia. That would have been a much better political history and legacy for Boakai. And if I were in the room with Boakai, that is the bigger picture I would have painted to him so clearly. But these sycophantous players, small-minded individuals, they are not seeing the bigger picture. They are not helping Boakai. And Boakai is more of his own problem. He has experience more than all the people around him. He can see, and his handlers too can see better. So, folks, I hope I make sense today. Mr. Boakai has allowed his greatest part, the CPP, to die a natural death on his watch. Another thing Mr. Boakai has not been able to do, to conclude quickly here, is Mr. Boakai has not been able to build. Mr. Boakai has not been able to build a power contact. What I call power contact, if you like, you can call it powerful contact. Who are the people Boakai in touch with right now? Who are the key actors out in the sub-region? Look at disgraced politician Edwin Snow is rubbing shoulders with former president of Nigeria. He rubbing shoulders with president of Ghana. He talking to West African leaders, people in the ECOWAS region, like the the speakers of the ECOWAS parliament. Look at disgraced politician as Snow. He's rubbing shoulders with them. He's in conversation. Who is Boakai talking to? Who are the world leaders that Boakai is talking to right now? Are they in his corner? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who is his strength, no contact whatsoever. And then Alice Cummings, the issue of election, they talk about money. Alice Cummings that he can't even strike. He can't form a very good. I know for a fact that they had a very good relationship before. It's just went apart. I would do that. No, I can't do that. That is what Boakai has done. So who are the power players that Boakai is talking to? That in economy, that are prepared to give him money? Ellen should be the one sourcing powerful political contact for Boakai that will bring in the money that he needs to win this thing. He's having issue with Ellen. He came to the United States, started meeting state officials here and there. When he was vice president, he was rubbing shoulder with people at the federal level. He's not vice president anymore. He comes, he's rubbing shoulder with local government officials. What they're going to get you? These people are not in Washington. Come on. So, folks, above all, Mr. Boakai has made bad choices and exhibited poor judgment. The bad choices he made, poor judgment, bringing men a Ure to him to be close. Henry Costa insults Ellen Johnson Sirleaf every day, every time he gets. Costa will insult Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, call Ellen Johnson Sirleaf a witch. Then Boakai brought Costa to him. And Costa became the face of his campaign. Poor judgment. You need a woman more. The woman is what's they call it? Political leader emeritus of the Unity Party. The guy who hates Ellen, insults Ellen, disrespects Ellen. You brought the guy. And besides Ellen, there are people in the Unity Party that have so much respect for Ellen, right for the soul. They are still loyal to her. Some of them are who they are today because of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's decision to bring them into government, or other gave them scholarship or send them to school. And you brought Costa, and he's insulting this woman who made them who they are today. Bad choice, poor judgment. And so there are folks in the Unity Party that have serious problem with that decision. No wonder why Costa is now off, OFF. He's off the Boakai train because the real Unity Party folks can't even stand him. But I agree with Costa. He has all right to take that stand against the Unity Party. They persecuted him. And he too was doing some, deeds with them in the back and here and there. But it has not been a pleasant relationship. And Boakai brought him. He became the face. Unity Party folks were more than ostracized. More besides, you brought a Ure. He's your greatest political strategy. The man who does not have a pleasant record in Liberian political history. He's your greatest ally. Liberians don't want to see a Ure anywhere near power because of who they know him to be. He is your greatest strategist. Poor judgment, bad choices. These are the things, folks, that Boakai has done that destroy the possibility of a Boakai presidency. If Boakai is to be president, something he's not going to do, he will never swallow his pride. He will not be a leader to say, look, I think we are in error. We're going back to the CPP. Let's hash a deal. You were not running. Youngly not running. Let's strike a deal with Cummings. Let's stop the foolishness and let go. I mean, we are. Cummings bring the money. We bring more numbers. He brings a number. We unite the base. We go the defeat. We are landslide. Strike a deal with Tiawan. Tiawan come on our side. We can make you Chief Justice. You want to be Minister of Justice, we can make you Minister of Justice, or whatever you want to be. You want to be the guy to be Minister of Presidential Affairs so that you can get that. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you. And in fact, we can do this and that for you and go into this thing and win this thing. I like competition because CDC, overloaded or not, they are prepared. They are prepared. But look, they will be vulnerable more than ever should this be done. They were vulnerable. They had already given up. They were afraid of the CPP. They knew they were done politically. And so their chances were nowhere. What took away their chances were the CPP. So they started spending money. to hit and destroy the CPP. And the CPP leader fell in this thing. Jesus Christ. And you take these people serious, you will balance. You will hear the truth. You will not want to take it, but we will rub the truth in your faces. Who becomes Liberia's next president, things will still be tough. But things will start getting better sooner if we get a better leader. That is why I'm making this presentation. Folks, I will take a break and we will read some comments, and at the same time, we will take some calls so that we can shut this thing down. My name is Ansony Sieh. I hope my presentation was point on. I hope I did not come to criticize Mr. Boakai. I only came to say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And if Boakai wanted to be president as he has been wanting, the only person who could have made it possible was Boakai. And the only person who could also destroy that possibility is Boakai. And from all indication based on my analysis and things that I've looked at, Mr. Boakai has not helped himself. He has destroyed himself. The greatest destruction he's done with his inability, his poor judgment, and his failure to provide a leadership in the CPP for the CPP to hold and to not ensure for him to become the standard bearer of the CPP. And he's walking away. It's like walking away from the presidency. That is my argument. That is my presentation. That is my analysis. And I respect your disagreement. But I know I was on point, and you know I was on point. But sycophantically, you will disagree. Maybe because I'm not those who sing the hallelujah. I don't sing kumbaya politically. I speak truth. We'll take that break. And after that break, we'll read your comments. We'll open the phone line.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis John.
Okay, folks, I'm back with you here. This is the Hour of Politics. Ansony Sieh bringing you analysis on the topic, how Boakai destroy a possible Boakai presidency. It is time for you to speak. And I remember the writer also saying, speak now or forever hold your peace. We set up the phone line. I want you to come and give your take. Come and disagree with me. I am consistent by saying I'm not always right. But one thing is I'm always on point. I'm always analytical. My analysis may not be strong to many, but that is what I do. And that is my part. And that is my emptiness. And I want you to come and fill it in so it can make sense. The phone number is on the screen. The number you see right there is also in the student text below. So if you don't see the number on the screen, check the student text below. This one that starts with 651-313-6004. Don't hesitate to enter the code 791-403#. That is the only number to call, and you will be given the opportunity to participate. Let us hear you, and let us hear you now. So while I wait for the calls, folks, while I wait for the calls, I will read some comments here. Let me read some comments. A lot of comments, a lot of comments, lots of comments. Let you have this one from Powerhouse. You were never on point. That person said I was never on point, and it's obvious. That's disagreement is a beautiful thing. Let you have from Smith Dawia. Where were you when JMB Up was evicted for lack of paying rent? He had money, but allowed his party to be disgraced in the public. That person is saying something. Sam Bade writes, I wonder Mr. Sieh really understanding himself today. That person is questioning my presentation that I don't understand. Maybe the person thinking I'm all over the place. Let's hear from Sugar Vaughn. Boakai is too old, sick, and incapable to lead Liberia. Senator Lawrence and Mr. Ure are only using Boakai for their selfish greed for power and wealth. That person writes. Let us bring some comments here. More comments here. Like here from Augustine Lamini. They were all over the place talking about framework document, and they forgot the bigger picture. That is the main point, the bigger picture, the bigger picture. The framework document is not going to get you anywhere. It only going to get you on the ground politically, and that's what's happening now. I say Harris, right? Senkwade, you call ambition desperation? What planet you live on, bro? Don't forget, this is the 21st century. Good point there. For somebody to be ambitious is not a bad thing. Mr. Boakai has ambition. Ambition is when you want to be, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the right of any Liberian. You know, I mean, even guy like me can say, I want to be president. So does it mean I'm going to be president? You know, it's an inspiration, right? That's just a good thing. Liberians will unwillingly vote for corrupt Georgia because of weak GMB political is that ignorance? That is right there. Lots of comments. Let me see if I can read as many as possible. I want to do justice to more people. Like hear from this writer. That is Judy. I don't really understand why he, Big Joe, had to allow those mulatto boys to destroy his presidential ambition. This is very sad. Big Joe seems to be a political liability right now. I'm yet to see the over 40 years of experience in practical sustainability. Yet practicality is the point that I'm making. How practical has Joe been? You have to be practical. Ellen was practical. She was pragmatic. Joseph Conto, as a matter of fact, the CPP was destroyed under Mr. Boakai's chairmanship of the CPP. As head of the CPP, he failed to hold the CPP together. Mr. Boakai is a big failure and the worst loser in the history of Liberia. Mr. Boakai has been fired from every position he served in government, including the Liberian Vice Presidency. Wow, my man, I don't think Boakai was fired from every job. Politically speaking, you say you were fired from the presidency. They had 2 terms and they ended the term. So he was not fired as vice president. That is not accurate. That is false. I'll be frank with you. Mr. Boakai was not fired when he was at a PMC. I don't think so. So that is not true. I can't allow you to say that about Mr. Boakai. Rhonda Thomas Sieh, just sit there in America and eat chicken and you know the hard suffering that's ongoing in Liberia. My brother, there's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is what I'm doing, to talk. All right? I'm not ignoring the suffering. I don't have money to come and give to everybody. I'm not a government official. If I start running for president, you will say, oh, everybody from America wants, and I don't want to be president. So this is the little I can do. And I'll continue to enjoy the chicken because my man, the chicken sweet. I wish all of you could get some of that chicken. I want that chicken. That's why I'm making the noise, because I want to eat chicken too. Let's hear from Vamandi Donzo. JMB should have allowed primary election to go on, and he would have won the CPP standard bearer. You know, he would have won the CPP standard bearer position, right? You know, let's hear from James here. James, right? You think Georgia will win election in that country again? Don't waste your time. Don't overload Georgia, brother. Don't overload Georgia. With all these things are happening, let's hear from Philibert O. Jackson. This guy does the same thing to we are. So don't think he's on we are side. The first time I watched his show, he was on we are that day. Somebody is making a case that this guy, he's not for anybody. This guy is in the middle. He's only trying to preach political consciousness here. Thank you. You got me right. I'm not on nobody's side. I have no reason to be on anybody's side. I mean, I'm on Liberia's side, and I'm going to waste my time again to be on anybody's side. Liberia is the biggest political party. Oh, they're my friend here. They're my friend here. Mr. Aliyu Vivamba, who is Aliyu Kamara. I hope you open your phone lines. So what that your analysis can be, so that your analysis can be challenged. I do not hold you responsible for some of the points you are making because you do not know the former vice president, but it is important to clarify the wrong information. Aliyu, let me check if you are on the phone here. Mr. John Manglo is here. The last time he came here and he dealt with me. Mr. John Manglo, be there and wait, I'm coming. And I also have a presentation that I put together, how Cummings is destroying his possibility of becoming president. ANC people not going to like me. I will enjoy myself again. I will bounce on them. This is what I do. I'm searching in their hearts and in their minds to see the bigger picture because they don't see it. Let me continue to read comments. Aliyu, the number is set up. Please call. I want you to be the first to defend this thing. Let's get a writer here. Writer writes. Let Mose go. Oh, we don't do it yet, folks. Be careful with your language. GMB destroy his camp. That should be a blessing for you to win. You look at his mistakes now to win. That is J. Flomo making the case there with his comments. Let's hear from this person, that is Rhonda Thompson. Sieh, thank you for your fake analysis. The guy said my analysis is fake. I know when I say my analysis is fake, I mean the analysis is biting them. They can't stand the truth. They can't stand the power of the analysis, piercing enough. Since you started, I haven't seen you smile. Today is not a good day for smiling. Somebody say, I don't know if he's talking to me. I always try to smile, right? Now, sometimes I show a very serious face, but I'm always smiling. I'm always enjoying this stuff. But when you're making a presentation on a serious national issue, you got to show some serious face, right? So that is why sometimes I project a serious face. But I'm the guy who always laughing. Famadi again, those who are jumping off of GMB will be the same people who will be suffering. A lot of comments here. I'm trying to do my best here. I totally disagree with you. GMB has on many occasions spoken in favor of dual citizenship and the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court, my friend. Let's hear from Sonny Jara. Which of the Liberian president were advocate before becoming president? Their other topic is art of order. Yeah. I don't know whether you just took one piece of what I said. I said you don't have to be an advocate, but it's a plus. But tell me one thing that Joseph Boakai has stood for in his lifetime. One thing, tell me. Anyway, let's hear from Mose. Yeah. In summary, we remember VP Boakai as the politician who worked in almost all the corrupt and criminal government. Former VP is a smooth crook, period. But man, why you continue to call this vice president smooth crook? Thomas or Quina, I hope I got it right there. You guys just want to take us back in time and give those crooks that are behind him opportunity to take power. And brother, we are talking about politics. It is what it is. It is what it is. We are analyzing the possibility of he becoming president. Let me hear from Mr. Juje Dekie. Interesting piece. We are waiting for Joseph Boakai's running mate. Who will be a running mate? I'm not sure he's sure who he wants to. Alfred Dennis, sorry, Hillary Clinton damaged Haiti today. Very wicked lady, corrupt. She and her husband with the Clinton Foundation. Oh, somebody is throwing a Sieh. You just talk about what you just talk about what you to say, my brother. But if your neck try to the second time, it's not properly put together there. Let's hear from Margaret A. Mampu Dyson. Margaret A. Mampu Dyson, speak and let the truth be heard. Then let the people decide later. JMB 2023. Mampu again, speak your truth, Mr. Sieh, and let the people decide. Same comment there. Let's hear from Samuel Josiah, Mr. Sieh. We got serious issues in Liberia at the moment that we need media coverage and popular awareness. So please be sensitive to the reality of the day and talk about them. What time comes, when the time comes, we will speak of JMD. What national issue that you're talking about? We're having a show today on this. My gave promise of 100,000 later this evening with my partner Dennis Jar. On Sunday yesterday, we have 3 different shows. We talk about so many issues. The death of Miss Cooper, we talk about it. We cover all the issues. No Liberian media institution covers nearly everything. We come a little close, very little close than most of them. Just keep following and you will see that one day. You can see that with just one show. Let me hear from my dear sister, Hawa Mesga. We are asking all engaging platforms. We are asking all engaging platforms on national issue to carry our stories. As victims, family, justice is crucial at this defining point in Liberia. Thank you, Princess Cooper, and all our victims deserve justice. How are you? You know me. When it comes to justice, no one knows me about standing for justice, but I have some footprints. They are insignificant, but they are there. So that is it. So let us go to the comment, the cause. I see Mr. John Manwolo. I know him to be an ANC guy. Wouldn't like a presentation that was biting for his side. And he came swinging at me. And he dealt with me. I was just laughing. I'm sure he got deflated that day. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
John, you listening to my presentation? Your take?
Yeah, my take is a question to you guys.
Thank you.
You want to consider yourself a critic. But when we hear you expound on your criticism, it tells me that you are blocked in the mindset of the historical Liberia. You're talking about a new Liberia, and you're talking about people should cross deals. You say you want competition, but you say they should talk to somebody. Listen, we got to decide what we want. Alexander Cummings didn't take early retirement to come to be number 2 because somebody just liked the old man and they think he needs to be president before he dies. Listen, this is about Liberia. Liberia don't have one more second to lose. The children of Liberia don't have one more year to sit down and hope. We have destroyed our children enough. We have destroyed our country enough. We have destroyed our economy enough. This is about the best, most capable person holding the presidency, and now who we like, now who we want to cheer, now who we know for the best, most capable person. Until we do that, we will keep on regretting. I keep on giving people the example. When the Mercer ship comes to Liberia to work on people, you don't know any other doctors there, but you leave all the Liberian doctors to JFK and wherever else and run there with your children.
John.
Why do you do that? Because you know they are the most capable of fixing your child. The same thing with our politics.
John.
We need the best person. Yes, go ahead.
What you said makes sense. It is about the best capable person who, let's say, through whom we can transition to better governance and better leadership. But it's also about practicality, John. You know, there's one thing to be all pumped up that, oh, I have the best guy. But that best guy will not become the best guy for the presidency if he doesn't win. So practicality. Let me ask you this question. The last time you claimed a ladder that you mounted on a house, Where did you take the first step? From the bottom or from the top?
It depends which ladder it was. But normally you started from the bottom.
So thank you for being so honest by answering the question. John, to win the presidency in Liberia, you need competition, and I am a guy for competition. But at the same time, the reality of Liberia,
the same thing I just said.
the reality of Liberia. So you shouldn't have problem with me, but you want me to say it your way, right?
No,
the reality is
not you. It's a Liberian mindset.
No.
It's not you in particular.
No.
You know,
it's not a Liberian mindset.
Presidency in Liberia. We have been doing it wrong ever since, and we can't get our feet on the ground. Why don't we change to make it better for ourselves?
All right.
We have been doing the same thing you're asking for every time, and we've been wrong. Every time, and we've been wrong. So why don't we see it differently? Why can't we see it differently?
John,
talking about
can Cummings win? Can Cummings
win?
Can Cummings make it to the second round? If Boakai is on a ticket,
Cummings can win. And not only making it the second round, he's gonna win.
And how is he gonna win?
How he's gonna win? The Liberian people want to vote for it.
All right. Thank you. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, we don't have any other caller. And so I'm shutting the phone number down. We have taken enough time here, and I cannot continue to read comments further. I have sufficient time for people to call. They are not calling. Only John Marlowe call to have a say. So this is how I will close, fellow Liberians. I am clear. My topic was or is how Boakai destroyed the Boakai presidency. I propounded here that if anybody has stood a better chance of becoming president, that would be Boakai. That is a fact, and people don't want to believe it. It's up to them. Those of you who follow me will come to realize that I have been a little more critical on Boakai than any other person. And I have been viciously critical of President We are too. But in the opposition, I have been more critical. All right, I see a call coming here. Hello there, caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Sieh, how are you?
Is this Mr. Steve Bole?
Yes, sir.
I will make him my closing here. Let me bring you in quickly. And Liberians are listening to you. I know the first thing you're going to say, the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. That is a fact. I can't go into that debate. I will be humiliated. And the Liberian people are also the most important people. So talking about the Liberian people and the Liberian women, let's hear you.
My man, you seem to get a memorandum now, so you start it cool. So, well, I listen to you in and out, and it's just interesting. Even when you try to make a case for it, Boakai, it was just so much question that it either leads you to think for people to look at you as somebody who really does not care about moving the country forward, or somebody who really, you are either in two categories. Either you don't want to move the country forward, or you are just a job seeker. And it shouldn't be like that. I think it's selfish. With all due respect, Boakai, all of the records that you said, I have openly challenged it. The former vice president is the only politician on record, maybe that is alive now, that have worked in almost all of the corrupt and criminal government, apart from maybe the John government. It's yet to be proven if he worked for them, but it's on the record that he received money from them for his health. Some United Party partisans have debated that the money that he received was part of his pension. Well, that's not the fact. That's not true. But they can move ahead.
But my concern is everything General Boakai has put himself in has either died or he has never been fruitful to benefit anybody. He has never been fruitful. So I'm not even sure why we're even having this conversation concerning Joseph Yuma Boakai. I really am not sure. Joseph Yuma Boakai, like you said earlier, is not even able to bring Ellen on board. Joseph Yuma Boakai, under him, the CCP died. I wouldn't say died. Under him, the CCP went cold, and the CCP did nothing under him, apart from them leaving. He has never made a decision as a leader. It's always been people making a decision for him. So it's embarrassing, it's shameful, it's very concerning to even have young people wasting their time, their resources, and their energy. But here's the interesting part. Since they, according to them, they illegally left the CCP, not even according to them, it's a fact that they illegally left the CCP. What have they done? Who are they going to recruit? Where are they going to go? I can tell you for a fact that they are stuck. They don't know where the campaign will go next. So all they're stuck with is propaganda, lies, and so forth. But I got a good news for them. I got a good news for the Unity Party partisans and those who support Joseph Yuma Boakai. I got a good news for them. And the good news is the man they were depending on, the people they were depending on to make the case for them, whatever it is, these people have sold out. I'm saying here on the platform, they have sold out, and we wait to see how that will play out. So the Unity Party is not coming back to power. It's in no way, shape, or form. They might not waste their time. And I challenge what he means. One bongo, Dr. Carter is out of the race as we speak. I challenge what he means, Mr. Lieutenant Commis, any other person running for the presidency in Nigeria to go and pass around and make that foolish noise I'm hearing around that, oh, they want to go and negotiate and be VP. No.
Right.
No. They shouldn't waste their time and create a political career.
Thank you, Steve.
To conclude here, to the young people who are wasting their time looking for jobs, to those who think that they can make noise and think that they can make the case, Joseph Yuma Boakai is a failure today, he's a failure tomorrow, he's a failure day after tomorrow. He's going nowhere. You're not wasting your time. You'll find a new home and you're going to reestablish yourself. Thank you so much, and we'll continue the conversation.
Thank you, Steve. So, folks, let me give you my closing. I was saying in closing that it is a fact that cannot be denied. No matter who you think Mr. Boakai is or has been, his new recognition has been a plus. And the fact that he was in the CPP, he was more poised to become the CPP presidential candidate. And with the CPP, Mr. Boakai could have won. That is a fact. You can say any other thing you want to say about Mr. Boakai. Mr. Boakai could become the CPP candidate. Mr. Boakai could do everything for the CPP to hold. But Mr. Boakai could not do it. That failure on his part undermined this dream of becoming president of Liberia. And I'm arguing that had Boakai become the CPP candidate, had Boakai done everything to allow the CPP to hold, Boakai would have gone to the election to win. And I'm saying Boakai should have done everything, either through primary or through a consensus, to become number one. That was his best path to victory. And that was not only his victory, that would have been the best and possible victory path for the opposition. Boakai did not see this thing in its entirety. He did not see the bigger picture because he has been an absent leader. He made bad choices. He's not a reconciler. And so he destroyed this greatest opportunity that he had. I argue that the fact that the CPP could win with DeLong in Moserado County, DeLong who has no name recognition, the CPP could win with Boakai. And if anybody could have needed much more help to become president than Mr. Boakai. Why? Because this is his last chance. And so he needed to do everything in his power, and he failed to do everything. The CPP died under him. He allowed players on his side to undermine the CPP, to bring in all kinds of tactics. And now the CPP crumbles. And because the CPP crumbles, Mr. Boakai has become politically crippled for 2023. Now he will not have a coalition that will be robust behind him. A stronger opposition collaboration can only be when Unity Party is in it, when Liberty Party is in it, and when ANC is in it. These three political parties are the biggest opposition political parties in the opposition. So if they had come together with Boakai on the ticket, it would have been Boakai's victory. Boakai would have become president automatically. Boakai needed to see that and not allow Yuri, Costa, and other people to push him and coerce him to get out of the CPP. Getting out of the CPP was taking away his chances of becoming president. Boakai should have competed in the primary, and he had everything to do to win, but he would not, because Boakai doesn't have it. And because he didn't have it, he could have struck a deal with Cummings in a consensus. That was that for Boakai to become president. Boakai did not do it. Boakai did not see the bigger picture. Boakai now has left the CPP, and Steve is right, illegally. That is not how you lead a CPP according to the CPP framework. But that's another day discussion. So, folks, that will do it. For those who disagree with me, and I respect your disagreement. And that is the essence of this platform, that we come and disagree and agree when possible. Mr. Boakai, I'm not sure he's going to make it to that political promise now because of these mistakes and bad judgments and poor choices that he has made. I don't know who's going to be as we speak. I will tell you when that time comes, the campaign time. My name is Ansony Sieh. I brought you another analytical edition of the Hour of Politics. The analysis are strong enough, but some people will say they're not, and I know. And because the analysis is not in their favor, and so they are not strong. I get it. I know that trick. It won't work here. All Liberians is the sun that is taking us home. Bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.